First sunlight over the backwater town of Griffin, Georgia. Its rays reveal a town dressed for the holidays. Wreaths adorn street lamps. Ribbons dress up the town square. And at 820 West Taylor Street, a partially clad foot casts its early morning shadow in a doorway. In a moment, 1988 becomes a Christmas unlike any other.
Initially found the body of Miss Eller naked in the foyer of her apartment building.
Special Agent Gary Rothwell answers the call to apartment 3A.
She had been stabbed, apparently, several times and had bled extensively on the floor there where she died.
Each step into Beverly's apartment reveals another detail of her final moments. It is the ordinary, however, that catches Rothwell's eye.
In the kitchen was a pan of cinnamon rolls, only one missing with one bite taken out of it. And that was indicative to us that she may have been entertaining someone or had someone over.
From the kitchen, Rothwell walks into a back bedroom.
Hang on, I'll zoom in.
It is here that Beverly's killer first struck.
Footprint? You see the shoe print?
Someone has stabbed her 3 or 4 times from behind, or actually more than that, and she's running trying to get away from that blade. That's what the evidence indicated occurred, that she was fleeing even as she was being stabbed.
Beverly Eller died in a puddle of her own blood. Her killer stepped over the body, out the front door, and into the early morning. Charles Moss is also on the crime scene that morning. His job, find the fingerprint of a killer.
As I surveyed the crime scene, I noticed several items of evidence that I thought was of evidentiary value at the time. Number one being a beer bottle that was in the bedroom area.
A Miller Lite beer bottle. It is rolled through a pool of blood and lies at the foot of the bed.
As I went into the kitchen area, there was a Pepsi bottle that was lying immediately on top of all the other trash that was in the trash can.
Both items are dusted but yield no prints. Moss takes both back to the lab.
Okay, we're going to process this Pepsi bottle.
Forensics call them latent fingerprints, invisible to the eye and resistant to the traditional powder and brush. Detectives call them the silent witness. For years, technicians had been unable to lift latents from smooth surfaces, such as plastic or glass.
I want to add a couple of drops of glue.
Super glue helped to change all that. A 100-watt bulb is used to heat the glue.
We can now see the glue begin to bubble a little bit. We have prints developing.
Vapors from the heated glue coat the bottle. A fingerprint begins to take shape.
The second phase of the process, I will now, using black fingerprint powder and a fiberglass brush, I will then dust the Pepsi bottle in order to enhance the super glue developed latent fingerprints. Using the tape and my thumbs to guide the tape onto the print. And I'm actually placing the tape directly on top of the print that I want to lift.
As demonstrated here, Moss lifts 3 prints from the Eller crime scene, 2 from the beer bottle and 1 from the Pepsi bottle. Next, he accesses the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, or AFIS. In a matter of minutes, AFIS compares the lifts against more than 8 million prints. To no avail. No match is found. With no physical evidence and few leads, the pace of the investigation begins to slow. Lost in a shuffle of new files and fresh murder, The Eller case eventually goes cold. For 7 years, Charlie Moss has clung to his fragile bit of evidence, hoping for a match.
As a latent print examiner, we live to make an identification. Anytime we can get a match in a case means that possibly we have solved a crime. So I was constantly looking for matches on that print on a daily basis. And I pretty much had a visual image of what the print looked like.
On a Friday morning, Moss's tenacity is rewarded. Special Agent Gary Rothwell gets a hit on his pager.
I stopped and dialed Lieutenant Freeman, and he said, "The GBI Crime Lab just called. They got a hit on the Eller case on a latent print on some fingerprints submitted by some sort of state applicant wanting a job." And I like to fell out.
7 years removed from the Eller murder, APHIS comes up with a hit. A strong match on a print Moss lifted from the crime scene.
Walter LaParker Leonard had applied for a job as a corrections officer with the Georgia Department of Corrections. As a matter of routine, he was required to submit inked fingerprint cards to check his record.
Nobody could ever tell you that they seen me in Griffin before I was locked up. Nobody could ever. They had no witness to ever say that.
Leonard is right. Police can find no witness to place him in Griffin, Georgia in December of 1988. They do, however, find his girlfriend, who tells police Leonard boarded a Greyhound bus in Cordele, Georgia, bound for Atlanta.
We contacted Greyhound. They went to their archives, located bus schedules for the time in question, December 1988, and confirmed that the bus from Cordele to Atlanta would have gone through Griffin on U.S. Highway 41.
The bus station in Griffin is less than a block from Beverly Eller's apartment, and it has a payphone, one police believe Eller used on the night she was killed. Slowly, an investigative theory begins to take shape of a killer who takes a bus into town, picks out his victim as she uses a payphone, and stalks her from the bus station to her apartment. At its core, however, Rothwell's theory still turns on Leonard's prints found in Eller's apartment. Leonard attacks them with hints at a frame, that perhaps someone has planted his prints at the Eller crime scene.
You can take fingerprints from one object, take it off one object, place it on there. I can do that, or you can do that. Anybody can do that with what? A plain piece of tape.
There's no way that his fingerprints, those of Mr. Leonard, could have been placed on two separate items in two locations in that apartment, one of which we know was present during the crime, rolled through the blood without him having been there. He had to have been in that apartment at some time.
A Georgia jury takes a look at the prints, listens to Leonard's story, and after less than 4 hours of deliberation, sentences him to life in a Georgia prison cell.
To me, I guess speaking as with my law enforcement experience, I would say it was a crime of passion. That's what it seems like.
This was a sexually motivated, brutal murder. A woman was stabbed in the back multiple times with a knife up to the hilt and left to die. How anyone could say that that was a crime of passion is beyond me. I can only view it as maybe someone trying to minimize what they've done.
Justice. Walter LaParker Leonard found it in the whirls of his own fingerprints, a maze he could not escape because of the diligence of cold case detectives and the persistence of a fingerprint technician who refused to quit until he found his match.